Push-ups. We see them often, we might do them often, but it is not often that we see them done well. To be honest, the push-up gets butchered a lot. If you do push-ups with poor form, you're never gonna build strength. You're just gonna get stuck in an endless loop of weak push-ups. In this two-part series, I'm gonna show you everything you need to know to do a perfect push-up. And if you can't do a push-up on the ground yet, don't worry about it. I'm gonna show you all the progressions you need to know so that you can work up to doing a perfect push-up on the ground. We're in part one, where I'm gonna walk you through the do's and don'ts of your plank, your hand position, your lats and shoulders, your head and eye position, your feet, the negative, which is going down, and of course, putting it all together and doing push-ups. In part two, I'm gonna teach you how to breathe, how to do tempo push-ups, which are a secret weapon in strength building, rep schemes, and how to progress your push-up strength using an elevation and using bands. By the way, we are doing 0 knee push-ups. Do you wanna know why knee push-ups don't work and you'll never get stronger with knee push-ups? Keep watching and you'll find out. Okay, let's hit the deck. We're starting with the plank because the push-up is just a moving plank. And it's really important that we keep our body connected and rigid throughout the movement. Common mistakes we see in the plank are lack of tension, which causes people to sag, that sagging issue, or sometimes we see the butt in the air. To fix this, we're just gonna practice the hardstyle plank in the high plank position. So let me show you how to do it. We're gonna start in our quad pod position like this, and it's really important to get stacked in the arm here, meaning shoulder over elbow over wrist, okay? So nice and stacked here. We're gonna step each foot back one at a time, bracing our abs and squeezing our glutes. Brace your abs, anti-shrug those shoulders, butt is squeezed, pull those kneecaps up, and that's gonna be tightening for your quads, and just stay tight like this. Your body should be a straight line, and you wanna keep everything as tight as possible. With the plank, you wanna make sure your body is a nice straight line, everything stays nice and tight. Practice holding it for about 10 to 15 seconds at a time. If you're able to hold your hardstyle plank for 30 seconds or a minute, it means you're not getting nearly tight enough. So you wanna make sure that you're creating a lot of tension so that holding for 10 to 15 seconds is actually quite challenging. The whole idea with that tension is to make our body one unit, and then when we do the push-up, it stays one unit. So you don't wanna get loose and you don't wanna get disconnected at any point in your plank. In the push-up, our hands are our biggest connection point to the ground, so they are super important. We're literally pushing off of our hands. Some of the common problems we see with our hands in the push-up are hands being too wide, hands being too far in front, and also just inactive hands, like limp fish hands, just not doing anything. Let's fix our hand position. By the way, today we're doing tricep push-ups, which means that our arms are gonna basically brush our rib cage here. It's just the easiest way to do a push-up and keep your shoulder in a really safe position. So for your strongest tricep push-up, we want our hands to be right under our shoulders, the way that we practiced in the plank, and our fingertips should be lined up with our eyes. So if I were to put my hands like this, they're at this position, basically lined up with my eyes, not kind of all the way out up here and not super wide as well. Once we have our hands in the right spot, they're not just laying there on the floor passively. You wanna grip the floor and actually corkscrew your hands into the floor, really loading the heel of your palm as well. You can even pretend that you have 2 pickle jars and you're actually trying to tighten one jar, the right hand, righty-tighty, and the left hand, lefty-loosey, right? And so you are gripping, corkscrewing, boom. That's what your hands are doing on the ground. When you're practicing your hardstyle plank position, practice that feeling of your hands gripping and corkscrewing the floor. Moving on to our lats and shoulders. Okay, pay attention here because if you do a lot of push-ups with poor shoulder positioning, you can put a lot of strain on your shoulders and it can eventually lead to injuries. The most common mistake we see with the shoulders in the push-up is shrugging. I love this drill from Master SFG coach Karen Smith. It's called the dowel drill. So you'll need a dowel or a broomstick or something like this. Stand up with your dowel and hold it in front of you like this, basically mimicking your push-up position. Keep your shoulders away from your ears, and I want you to try to break the dowel in half. That's really gonna turn on your lats here. It's gonna keep your shoulders anti-shrugged. Now you can actually mimic the movement of the push-up here. So try to break the dowel and then actively row the dowel to your chest, break the dowel again, and drive it away. This drill, if you mimic that feeling in your push-up, it's really gonna help with your lat and shoulder engagement and connection. Not only is that dowel drill gonna keep your shoulders really connected, it's also gonna help you explode out of the bottom of your push-up. So, great drill. In the push-up, we wanna keep our head lined up with the rest of our spine. A common problem we see here is people craning their neck forward. I see this one a lot where people are going down in their push-up and they're like, trying to get closer to the ground by craning their neck forward. That's really not a neutral spine, and it's not a very comfortable position for our neck. So let's fix that. To fix this, we're just gonna go back to our hardstyle plank. When you're in your plank, I want you to think about getting tall through the crown of your head all the way through your feet, okay? Make sure that your head is not doing anything like this, but instead tall through the top of your head. You might even need to make a little bit of a double chin, sexy double chin like that, and that's gonna keep your head in the right position. I find this one is the easiest to fix just by videoing yourself. So take a video of yourself doing your plank, doing a push-up. If you see any of the head movement chicken necking forward, you know that you need to get that chin back, get tall through the crown of your head. When you're doing a push-up, your eyes should be looking just slightly in front of you, maybe in this area right here. You don't want to look so far in front of you that it puts your neck into extension like this, right? So just a couple of feet in front of you, and that's gonna help you keep your neutral head position. Feet. Our feet are similar to our hands in the push-up in that they're one of our connection points to the ground. And a common problem that we see with our feet in push-ups is just passive feet. The feet aren't doing anything. They're not helping you in the push-up. In the push-up, we want our feet to be about shoulder width apart, and we want to be actively driving through our feet and driving our toes into the ground. When you set up for your push-up, be intentional about it and be intentional about how you set up your feet. So what I recommend doing is setting up 1 foot at a time. So I'm in my quad pod, I send 1 foot back. I'm pushing those toes into the ground, I'm driving through the heel, and I'm locking this glute and ab and this whole side of my body together when I send that foot back. So here, lock it in, here, lock it in. Feet are active, driving through the heels and pushing the toes into the ground. Also, this is why we don't do knee push-ups. You could do knee push-ups for your whole life and never be able to do a full push-up, because as you can see, when you do a knee push-up, you're taking away your feet and half of your legs, which you actually need to recruit your feet and your entire legs in order to do a strong push-up and in order to create a strong full body plank. So that's why knee push-ups don't work. If you've been wondering why you've been doing knee push-ups for so long and you still can't do a push-up, that's why. Learn how to use your feet, learn how to use your entire body, including your legs, to do a push-up, which is really a full body exercise. And just a reminder, in part 2 of this series, I'm gonna show you push-up progressions on an elevation and using bands. So if you're not able to do a push-up on the ground yet, don't worry about it. Part 2, we're gonna walk you through everything you need to know to do super strong push-ups, progress to a push-up on the ground without doing any knee push-ups. Now that we've covered everything we need to know from our head all the way to our toes on how to do a push-up, let's do a push-up. Remember the dowel drill where we actively pulled the dowel to our chest? That's what we're gonna do on the way down. It's called an active negative, that really active pulling motion into the bottom of the push-up. So let's do it. Set it up, hands, anti-shrug the shoulders, foot, lock it in, other foot, lock it in, squeeze the butt, quads, abs, actively row yourself into the bottom, own it for a second, break the dowel, and come back up. Hopefully that push-up felt stronger and more connected than previous push-ups that you've done. Today we covered how to do a perfect push-up. We went over our plank, hands, lats and shoulders, head, and feet. We also covered the active negative, owning the bottom position, and putting it all together and doing a push-up. When you set up for your push-up, I want you to be that intentional every single time. Use this video as your mental checklist that you go through every time you do a push-up. Remember, your first rep is not your first rep, your setup is your first rep. If you keep practicing your push-ups with intention on the skill, you will get stronger. Make sure to watch part 2, where we're gonna go through breathing, tempo push-ups, rep schemes, and owning the push-up on an elevation and using bands so you can progress your push-up to the ground. If this is helpful for you, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in part 2 for some more push-ups.